Reality isn't aesthetically pleasing all the time. And the only reality that's aesthetically pleasing is a repackaged reality. And how can you repackage something when you haven't even packaged it in the first place? You haven't even started it in the first place. So what is there to be repackaged into perfection, which doesn't exist, by the way? Give life the opportunity to surprise you. Give your ideas the opportunity to actually surprise you. You would never truly feel ready, because ready is a decision. It's not a feeling. To me, there's nothing that sounds more dreadful than knowing you could have done something and nothing was stopping you except yourself. I feel like that's what I would think hell to be. That is hell. Good morning, everyone. Afternoon, evening, night, whatever it is. So today I thought to speak about the fact that you can't edit a blank page, which is quite obvious from the title, but what that means is the fact that if we don't take action on something, it's never going to get finished. It's never going to get realized. So in essence, you can't edit the page because it's blank. I promise I speak better than this. I just need to get into the body. I'm so bad with intros, so bear with me. But yeah, let's get straight into the video. As someone with like a very, very active imagination, I realize that there are times when I have an idea of something I would want to do. I have so many interests, so many passions. Like, honestly, it's hard to keep up with them sometimes. But when I want to do something big, something revolutionary, you may say, I get obsessed with the idea of that thing without actually grounding it in reality. You get me? And so instead of pursuing that course of action, whether it's, for instance, I wanted to start painting, I wanted to start this really crazy business idea that could be really, revolutionary, whatnot, so instead of actually doing that thing, I end up procrastinating the living day out of that thing, because I will tell myself that I'm just waiting for XYZ to happen. I end up telling myself to hang on, that I'm not ready, or it's still being in the works, under the pretext of, no, I'm just being careful. I'm just being a careful person. I just would want to get this right just once. I don't want to have to do something wrong. When in reality, you can't know if you've done something wrong till you actually do the thing. Like, I think about when I play my guitar, I don't know that I'm playing the wrong thing till I hit the wrong note. So, can you see the point I'm making? Like, we can't say that we don't want to fail or get it wrong when we haven't even gotten the foundation of it yet. And so we're stuck in our heads, I will be stuck in my head making like imaginary edits of this thing, how it will come into fruition, when it's something that I probably would never take action on, because it sort of feels like it's safer to exist in my head as opposed to the harsh realities of the world, like criticism from other people, the possibility of this idea or of this thing failing or me not being good enough, you name it. It's endless. So there are endless reasons why your brain will tell you not to do something, or why life, people, society will tell you not to do something. But I think you just have to find your own endless reasons as to why you should do that thing. So like I said, it stays preserved in our heads because it's safer. It makes us happy. That feeling you get when you're thinking of something crazy. You have this crazy idea, maybe by 3 a.m. you're motivated to lock in, to do this, do all of the things that entail locking in according to you. And it feels really good thinking about it and planning for it. Planning feels so good. But when it's actually time to do that thing, we don't really want to carry on with it. And we kind of stall the idea a bit. And it's sort of this, I hope I'm getting this concept right. But this is kind of giving unrewarded dopamine. So we're thinking about something. The idea of doing that thing makes us happy, induces happiness. But it stops there. it's not rewarded because you've not actually done that thing. You get me? So it's the fact that our dopamine feels safe in that state. Because if we even carry it on to the next stage, there might not be so much dopamine. Like, I mean, when it's in the works, when you're doing the hard thing, when you're failing and whatnot. So we kind of just leave it there in our heads. We leave it there and we spend the rest of our lives storing our ideas in a safety deposit box that only we have the key to, but don't ever get the chance to open it. We don't ever get to open it because we're too scared to open it, or it may have gotten to the point that so much time has passed that you've lost the key altogether, so you don't actually get anything done. So it's almost like the attachment to how this thing has to look, how the idea you are yet to actualize, or the thing you want to start, how it's meant to look. It's the attachment to that and the idea of just wanting to wave like a magic wand and have the finished product appear the way you want it to appear. But we never want to get our hands particularly dirty. So it sort of becomes this thing where you flirt with the idea longer than you should flirt with it for. Because when you think about, even in real life, when you flirt with someone you truly want to be with, you don't just flirt with the person and stop there. Because it sort of creates this weird, uncomfortable limbo of like a thread hanging in the middle. Is it going to fall? Is it going to remain there? Like, what's happening? And so we don't do that when we actually want to be with someone. We flirt with that person and take it to the next stage. You don't dance around the idea of being with that person when that's someone you actually want to be with. You take action when you really want to do that thing, when you really want to be with that person. And it could feel safer just leaving it to flirting, but it's never going to be actualized into anything. So you spend the rest of your life as someone that you would want companionship, for instance. You spend the rest of your life flirting with hundreds of strangers and never getting into the crux of it, never getting into the soul, never actually diving headfirst fully into the person, the thing, the idea. You spend the rest of your life in this safe gray area zone because you feel safer there, rather than getting into the messiness and the potential failures you could come across when you get to know this person or you get to do this thing. These ideas do not pay rent for how much daydreaming or planning or over complexifying, I hope that's the word, but how much extra unnecessary thinking you put into it. These ideas don't pay rent in your head for that. They only pay rent when you actually do the thing or you actually start. And again, this doesn't obviously have to be linked with something to do with money. It's just an analogy, of course. Yeah, it's anything we've thought to ourselves that we've wanted to do, but somehow have like convenient excuses as to why we shouldn't do that thing. And like, I was watching this channel of this lovely woman named Florence Givens, and she's just such a wonder, honestly. And I could just relate so hard to what she was saying, because she mentioned whenever she writes, basically, she feels as if she's in this crazy flow state. The ideas are pouring out, and what she's writing is like peak excellence. So she keeps going on, and then the next day she wakes up, she picks up what she's written, and it kind of reads like crap. Like it it doesn't sound good. It's like she would ask herself, like, oh, why did I think I was in such a flow state? Why did I think I felt like I was writing so much with so much wisdom, only for me to see that this is what the finished product is, the next day. And I feel like I really resonated with her when she said that, because I write like different things, like whether it's Substack or even fiction as well. I really do enjoy writing fiction, to be honest. But Yeah, I think it was just so funny because I could relate so heavily. Like, there are times I would write things and I'll be in such a crazy flow state and I'll think like, wow, this is so good, like this is amazing. And then the next day I'm trying to like continue on, or rather proofread what I've done the next day, and it's just so terrible. And it would feel like that, what's it called, flow state was in my head. But the thing is, I feel like that's what's important. Believing in something, believing in your crap till it actually blossoms into something worthwhile, till it actually blossoms into something great. Because I believed at that point in time that it was great, even if it was actually garbage by my standard. And I think at that point in time when I was writing the garbage, if I actually didn't think it was great and I thought it to be garbage, of course, like I would stop writing. I'll be like, this is nonsense. What am I writing? I'll drop the pen. So I wouldn't actually get to create that garbage that can be retweaked and can be edited. It would remain caged in my head. And so I think with that, I would just say it is extremely essential to be comfortable with creating garbage, with looking stupid when you're doing something that aligns with yourself, that aligns with you. It's very important to actually fail. It's good to write garbage. It's good to have garbage ideas, garbage creations, because it's only then you get the privilege of converting this garbage into excellence. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if you're too like worried or stuck on the aesthetic of how something is meant to look, you'll never get it done, because reality isn't aesthetically pleasing all the time. And the only reality that's aesthetically pleasing is a repackaged reality. And how can you repackage something when you haven't even packaged it in the first place? You haven't even started it in the first place. So what is there to be repackaged into? Perfection, which doesn't exist, by the way, or something excellent? You can't, because reality, things, ideas, creation, they almost always start out messy before they become better, before they become worthwhile, before they produce the results that you desire. We don't see all the manual labor and the sharpening of tools and the wood when your fancy bed frame was built, or your fancy wardrobe or chairs. You just see the bed frame, you just see the furniture. And I think that is what misleads us. Like the idea that if I don't create something that looks exactly like that, or looks exactly like what is in my head, then I shouldn't bother creating it. But the thing is, everything real was once imagined, and the only difference is that the imagination refused to remain dormant and passive. The imagination was courageous enough to emerge from you. That imagination, no matter how little, faint, how uncertain, grew wings and became powerful enough to actually manifest into reality. And it's funny because sometimes we think like we have a specific rigid idea of something, but when we actually start creating it and yeah, sure, it doesn't turn out that way, we shouldn't be too attached to that specific outcome, because our failure, or the fact that the idea is going in a different direction, can sometimes be a good thing and can open our eyes to other ways this thing can be done. It's not always a hit or miss, like I've done this and it wasn't exactly this way, so it's like it's going to be a failure if it's not this way. No, it could manifest into something different. It could evolve into something else that you wouldn't have expected. Give life the opportunity to surprise you. Give your ideas the opportunity to actually surprise you. And anytime I find myself thinking about something new and overthinking the possible bad, I have to actually consciously bring myself back to reality and think of the good. Because if I don't do that, I stay in this fixed defense mechanism, survival instinct that our brain created for good reason, but has the effect of actually setting you back. Our brain is wired to, feel fear as a survival instinct, from the jump. And it's also wired to equate imperfection with failure, and I have to rewire my brain in such a way that I come from, I think, from a place of optimism before having to wallow in the place of pessimism, because a good balance is, I guess, realistic to have the good side of things and the possible wrongs associated with that thing. But it's sort of like I have to think about, when I start something new, I have to think about the fact that this could be good. Like, why am I thinking what if it fails? What if it turns out great? What if my life becomes more amazing when I do this thing? So I have to, in a sense, shift my brain away from this default setting of fear, reluctance, what are people going to think, imperfection equating failure and all of that stuff. So I think the key thing really is that I would hate to wait for my life to sit down and watch my life pass before my eyes and become a chock full of what ifs or if onlys, or a shell of maybes I should have because of my unrealized ideas. To me, there's nothing that sounds more dreadful or regretful than knowing you could have done something and nothing was stopping you except yourself. So I feel like that's what I would think hell to be. That is hell. Knowing you could have done something with yourself, knowing you could have lived more if only you just let yourself, and the only person stopping you was you. So I guess that's why it's easier to blame it on our circumstances, or society, which I guess can be true. I'm not saying that can be things that get in the way of doing something, but oftentimes, like, it's really just an excuse, I feel. And sometimes when we realize that it's actually ourselves, we are the problem, we are the ones that didn't put that foot forward, we pathologize these actions of ours into, for instance, saying things like, oh, the reason I didn't do that, I'm just like not a risk taker, or I'm just someone that doesn't really like change, oh, I'm just not that smart, I'm just not as good as this person. Millions of excuses until these things that you've said to yourself become a self-actualized prophecy, a self-fulfilling prophecy. You think you're not smart enough, then you actually become quite dumb. You actually don't end up being as smart as you want to be. You don't end up honing the skills that live in you to become that thing. So you've kind of done it to yourself again, instead of actually like realizing, wait, I think I'm the problem. I think I need to change. I need to start taking action. I need to stop making excuses. We then make further excuses that are internal. Like, oh, I just can't help that I'm not this way. Or I'm just not like, oh, I'm not as pretty as this person. I'm just not this, da da da. All the excuses like we can possibly make. Which sometimes, again, they are true. There are times that you have circumstances that are simply not letting you do things. But I'll be very honest. I think like we human beings are very good at making excuses even when the circumstances permit us to do those things. So I think that, having these labels of, I'm just someone that is this way, this is just who I am, it can have the effect of molding yourself into this identity that hard to break free from, because you're always telling yourself that this is what you are, which is why I think it's very important to be conscious of what we tell ourselves. And another thing is that sometimes we look for motivation to push us there. We just say things like, oh, I just need motivation to start this thing, or, I'm just not ready, I need that motivation. But really, that's just repackaged fear. You don't always feel ready to do the hard or revolutionary things. In fact, I don't even think you ever feel ready to do the very hard things. I never feel ready when I go in for exams, for instance. I don't think there's been a time I've ever felt ready, because there's always something in my head. What if something comes out that I don't know? What if keeps replaying. And for example, also, even when I started this channel, I didn't feel ready, and I think it's because ready is a decision, it's not a feeling. So you would never truly feel ready, because it's about just doing the thing. There would always be, like I said, millions of excuses as to why you shouldn't do that thing. But it's about doing it anyways and finding your own excuses that overpower those possible negative reasons. You know, it's really also just beyond that, about believing in yourself. Because when I think about people that are great, I know this is such a cliche that, yeah, we're all just human beings, there's nothing different from us, but I feel like there was a point in my life that I really just deeped the fact that there's absolutely nothing different from me and these people. I mean, off the top of my head, you know, A-list mainstream musicians or actresses, whatnot. There's nothing different from you, truly, because they have things that make them stand out the way they do. Acting, singing, choreographing, etc. I have things that make me stand out as well. There's nothing fundamentally different from us. There's nothing that fundamentally separates us from each other, in the sense that we are all human beings that have our own strengths. So why do I think that I am not capable of such greatness just like the next person? Why do I think that I am inferior to the people that have done great things? I know that could never be me, or it was a stupid idea anyways. I should probably just leave that idea alone. Like, it's probably not gonna go anywhere. But why not try and prove that voice in your head wrong? Put it to a test. Try, do the thing, edit that page. More importantly, start, of course. Don't try and edit something that is blank. Don't try and edit something that only exists in theory, that's abstract, that hasn't even been put down in reality. There's no point. It's a waste of time. So yeah, I think to close off this video, what I would say is, look stupid, sing that song even if it sounds like crap, look silly, experiment with that first meal. If you like cooking, even if it tastes like battery acid, just do it. Start with the foundation, because without the foundation you have nothing. You're left with a lifetime of unfulfilled wishes, unfulfilled desires, expectations, so many maybes, and I just know that is going to suck so terribly. So yeah, I think in anything we do, believe in your garbage, believe in your initial garbage, and believe that it can get better. So write that book, invest with that money, take that class, start that channel, look stupid until you don't. Well, bye guys, see you in the next video.
Well, you want to clash? What? I will clash you. You're just a little boy. You think you're bad, but you're just a little boy. How old are you? You're like 9. What? You can't. What? You don't even know the time. You're just. You